everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I messed up my intro. Hi, my name is Lotta. Welcome back to my channel. And welcome to a new ASMR video. Hello. I think you can already tell from the title what we're doing, but in case you don't read titles, today we are ranking every single book that I read in 2024. I had this idea a couple of months ago, because last year I gave you like a one sentence review for all of the books I've read, and then I got into my top 10 books. But this year I tried putting together the top 10 books and then realized that while I did read a lot of good books and a lot of books that I really enjoyed, there were almost no like really outstanding books this year. And while I usually have the problem, this piece of hair is bugging me, while I usually have the problem that I can't decide which of the books should be the top 10 because there's so many good ones, this year I couldn't decide because there were not enough good ones or not enough great ones. So we're doing this instead. And I think now the screen will change, and I think you can already tell from, let me just click the mouse, I know I'm recording. Okay, and I think you can already tell from my tears, sorry for the purple frame flaring on and off, I don't know how to turn that off. I think you can already tell from the tears that this wasn't a great reading here, because up here we have perfection, then we have, which is already a stretch, then we have I enjoyed this, which that's why I read books, to enjoy them. So then we have alright. This is for books that were just alright. Then we have, this is a book for books that were either strange, books that I don't remember anything about, just anything that, it's a book, but that's pretty much all I can tell you about it. And then we have wasted my time. And while I don't think I will have many books in perfection, I also don't think I will have many books in wasted my time. Most of them are probably gonna be in the middle somewhere. Anyway, let's get into this. I hope this works. I'm doing this in Canva, which I saw on Haley Jean's and Freya ASMR's channel. I tried different tier making sites first, but none of them worked, and some of them were copyrighted, so I'm doing this instead and hoping it's fine. But anyway, I digress. I'm doing this mostly in order of reading the books. Some of them might be switched up, but they shouldn't be. And the first book I read, the beginning of the year was kind of good, and then it just fizzles down. The first book I read was Lockwood & Co., The Creeping Shadow, which is part 4. And Lockwood & Co. was already in my top 10 last year, because I read the first 3 books in the series in the December of 2023. So this continues and belongs in perfection, because this was a really great book. And similarly, then I read the last part in the series, The Empty Grave. Maybe I should turn the mic a little bit. The Empty Grave, which was even better. The series just got better and better with each book. And so this too does belong in perfection. Yeah, to this day, this is probably one of my favorite books I've read this year. And this would definitely be in my top 10 if I had a top 10 for this year. Yeah. And then we have Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. And now this, I do remember that I enjoyed it, but, and I do remember, like, what happened. It's not like I've forgotten, the plot, but it's not a book that is particularly memorable for me. So I'm putting this in alright. I'm sorry. Oh, why is it? Why does it keep doing that? Okay, this belongs in alright for me. Also, I should probably say that the tiers are not, like perfection isn't 5 stars and I enjoyed this isn't 4 and, wasted my time might be 1 star, but they're not exactly like 1 to 5 stars. It's more like, similarly to my top 10 books that I rate lower, cannot still be in perfection if they're very memorable. Okay, then we have an anticipated release that took me ages to read. He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker Chan. I started this in September 23 and completed it in January 24. Some of my favorite characters sadly didn't make it through this one. Anyway, this definitely belongs in, that's very slow, this definitely belongs in, I enjoyed this. I like the first part better, she who became the sun. I'm so bad at remembering titles, but this was still good. Then we have, oh no, they're switched up. Okay, then we have Carrie Soto's Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm putting this in perfection just because I think that I enjoyed this will become rather crowded by the end of this video, and perfection probably won't. It's not my favorite of her books, but I think it's my second favorite after The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So let's just put this up here. And then we have Daughters of the Deer by Danielle Daniel. This is a very sad and dark and dramatic story, not for the reader but for the characters, and also kind of for the reader, but yeah. And I'm not really sure where to group this because I did enjoy it a lot, and I would say I enjoyed it more than He Who Drowned the World, but again, it's not quite perfection. If you ask me, I don't know what the author could have done better. It's just, something about it makes me think that this belongs here. Then the next book is The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. Now, don't let yourself be fooled. Just because I'm putting this many books in perfection doesn't mean that a lot of them will end up there. Later on, probably none of them are going to be perfection. Anyway, this was probably my favorite romance of 2024. It's fun, but it also has like emotional depth, and I read the Fairy Loot edition, which is also very, very pretty. But then it got worse, and the next book was This Vicious Grace by Emily Teed. This is a book. Now, I have one good thing to say about this, one-sentence review, which I used to do for every book. I wrote down aggressively mediocre, no depth or chemistry, and I stand by that. Then we have The Thursday Murder Club by Mr. Richard Osman. I wish I could say that I enjoyed this more than I actually did, but sadly it was only so-so for me. The second half was pretty good, but the first half unfortunately dragged in many places, and I just felt like nothing was happening, and I got so bored, and it took me ages to get through it, and just, been there, done that. I've seen better. Then we have Funny Farm by Laurie Zaleski, which is non-fiction, and it's good, but it's not like revolutionary. The writing is kind of, it's a good book, it's interesting, but it's not like a good book in a literary way. But I enjoyed this. It's a good book. It's a very quick and easy read, which is something I'm looking for in non-fiction actually, because I get bored easily reading non-fiction. But yeah, there we go. Pretty much all of the books that would have been in my top 10 are at the beginning of the year, because next we have number 11, Wayward by Emilia Hart. This was a very anticipated release for me, and it did not disappoint. Or at least it did not disappoint as much as some of the others did, so we're putting it here. No, I'm kidding, this was genuinely a good read. I can definitely see why some people have said that they don't like it, but I very much enjoyed it. And that's a lot. Similarly for this book, Everyone in My Family Has Offed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. Probably my favorite murder mystery this year, and therefore it does belong in perfection. This was a pick for my reading club, and I was the only one who enjoyed it. The others didn't really like it, but I really, really, really enjoyed this book. I thought it was very funny. And yeah. Next we have another very lewd. This is so pixelated, I'm very sorry. Cruel Illusions by Margie Fuston. I'm not sure whether to put this in This Is a Book or in Wasted My Time, because frankly it is a book and it wasted my time, but I don't know if that would be too rude. I'll put it in This Is a Book because judging it worse than This Vicious Grace would feel mean, and I think they're like on the same level. Cruel Illusions was worse plot-wise, but there was more chemistry between our main couple, so I'm counting that as a win. Then Caraval. I went into this book with pretty low expectations, so I was surprised to say that I did actually enjoy this. I read the whole trilogy. Let's just do the trilogy together. Here's here's Finale, and here's Legendary. So, the trilogy. I think the books kept getting better, so Finale, I voted Finale 4 stars, and the Caravel and Legendary 3 stars. Finale did get a bit annoying at the end with like the love triangles going on, but at the end I enjoyed all of them. Maybe I would even put Caraval in alright, because I think it's the worst book out of the 3, but Finale and Legendary, what am I doing? Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Finale and Legendary definitely belong in I enjoyed this. If you're like me and you're reading Caraval and you're thinking that you don't particularly like Donatella, and now Legendary is written from her point of view, and like, what the the hell are you supposed to do with that? You don't even like her. Give it a chance. I promise you will grow to like her. I felt the same. Anyway, I skipped a couple of books. I skipped a duology. I skipped Song of Silver, Flame Like Night, and the second part, Dark Star Burning, Ash Falls White. And again, I'm doing them together because I can. This one is complicated. The first part definitely belongs in perfection, and the second is like between perfection, and I enjoyed this. Yeah, I voted both of them 5 stars, but in retrospect the first part was a bit stronger storytelling wise, but I will put both of them in perfection because I can, and it's my video. I'm very snarky today, can you tell? I'm not usually like that. If this is the first video of mine that you're watching, I'm usually very, very nice. The blurb for Song of Silver, Flame Like Night sounded so interesting, and trust me, it's even better than it sounds. I'm not getting like too into the plot of each one. I think that would, make the video even longer than it needs to be. And then I read, or rather I listened to, Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett on Spotify, with the voices of Michael Sheen, David Tennant, etc. And I think this is the first year that Good Omens would have made it into the top 10 if I had top 10. I reread this book every year, and every year I like it more, but every year it doesn't make it into the top 10. And this I would put into perfection, because even if I thought that the book had any flaws, the audiobook is just perfect. And now it's actually getting rather crowded up here. Then we have Wolkenschloss by Kerstin Gier, Cloud Castle. This is a typical Kerstin Gier book, and I enjoyed this. It was a reread. I feel kind of bad putting a reread higher than a new read, but this is always a classic, and can never go wrong with Kerstin Gier. And then, now it's getting bad. We have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which was another book club pick, and I did not enjoy it very much. I'm debating whether to put it in All Right or in This Is a Book. I think I'll put it into All Right, because I did not have a good time during that second half. The first half is very good. Don't let that fool you, it gets worse. And it never gets better again. If you enjoyed this book, congratulations. I will not take any recommendations from you. No, I'm being mean. I can see why people like this, but I thought that the second half was going to be better. I wrote down first half was fun but pretentious. Second half was annoying, but I could not stop reading. And that's still how I feel about it. It's not like it was boring, it was just bad. For me, like not badly written, just I didn't have a good time. I couldn't stop, but I didn't have a good time. Now, if I did have my top 10, this would probably be my top 1. The Book That Wouldn't Burn. Took me ages to get through. I think I started this in March or something, and I completed it in... No. Actually, I had this lying on my shelf for like a year before I started reading it, and then it took me like months, but I don't remember which months. Absolutely recommend this. It's long, it drags in places. It's not like the most fast-paced fantasy you'll ever read. It's quite slow actually, but it is worth the read, especially now that there's a second part already out, which you'll see later, and a third part coming out. This deserves to be in perfection. Like some of the books that are in perfection or that will be put there, I'm not sure that they actually deserve being here, but this one deserves this spot. Now the next one is Day of the Dead, and this goes straight into wasted my time. I do enjoy a good murder mystery, emphasis on good. What I do not enjoy is, I used to read that a lot, but I do not enjoy murder mysteries where the protagonists get absolutely traumatized and go through the worst time of their lives just for the sake of making the book interesting. If you can't make a murder mystery interesting without kidnapping your main protagonist and then torturing them, I don't think you're the author for me. And I think it says a lot about this book that this is part 8 of a series, and I didn't even notice until halfway through, because the protagonist is just so, I don't know, I did not have a good time. And from what I can tell, the whole series is just her getting absolutely destroyed by the same serial in each book, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And this is the conclusion of the series, and it's yeah, I do like murder mystery, especially if it's fun and funny. This was neither of those things. I took this off my shelves and I gave it to my partner because they want to read more murder mystery or more books in general, and so I was like, hey, I don't want to have this, you can have it if you want, but it's not good. And they took it, so yeah. But every time I see them read this book, I think they're currently reading it, I feel a little remorse for giving it to them. But free books are better than none. Then we have a reread, Scottish Murders. And I'm putting this in. This is a book, not because it was bad. On my first time I put this, I probably would have put this and I enjoyed this. But on rereading it, it just got a little boring. But I pushed through. And I'm kind of having problems with my TH today, can you tell? I kind of pushed through it, and yeah, I don't know. First time was better, but it's a good book. It's just some books you can't read more than once. And then we have a series of graphic novels that are also grouped together. We have The Girl from the Sea, Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, and The Prince and the Dressmaker. And here's the thing, I don't get graphic novels. You can cancel me, but I don't get them. For me, I don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of them. Because maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I get through them so quickly. And then it feels like I wasted my money on something. Like if I spend 10 euros, I want to read a book for 8 hours, not for 30 minutes. And so these were all alright. I will say, I could never ever create a graphic novel because I'm not talented enough. I could write a book, but I could never write a graphic novel. So, my deepest respect to these authors. The stories were good, the art was amazing. I'm just not a graphic novel person, and that's on me. Then I need to scroll on my iPad. I have a lot of screens today. Then we have The Book That Broke the World, which is the second part of the trilogy by Mark Lawrence. And this I'm putting in. I enjoyed this. It was a very, very good continuation of the trilogy, especially because this one was much shorter and more fast-paced, and so it felt like this was setting us up for a great third part, and this was actually the opposite of middle book syndrome. But there are some things happening that I just cannot get over, and that I felt were a little bit unnecessary. this up to perfection if I enjoyed this gets too crowded. Anyway, next I read Bad Summer People by Emma Rosenblum, and this is delightfully gossipy. If you like reality TV shows and you like, like rich people gossip, read this book. I promise you'll enjoy it. I did enjoy it. It's just that I feel like I was promised a murder mystery in the blurb of this book, and it never really happened. So this is gossipy and fun, but it's not murder mystery, so I felt lied to, but it's fun. Now we have a book that didn't waste my time, but that there's a distinction for me. I wasted my time on this. I wanted to like it, I wanted to read it, I wanted to enjoy it, I wanted to feel smart, but apparently I'm not smart enough. I DNF'd this after 20 pages because I could not get into it. It was too complicated for me. I didn't understand half of what I was reading. The sentences were too long for me. Maybe another day. And then we have another non-fiction book, Michael Zucker's The Way of Death, which is about Michael Zucker's the author, who works, I can't think of a better translation off the top of my head. He works in forensics. That's wrong, but he's the doctor that tells you how someone died. What's that called? Anyway, he writes books, and this one is non-fiction about some cases that he worked on. And I'll put this in alright, because while this was a very interesting book, none of this was really new to me, which, is entirely my own fault for being a med student, but, yeah. And we're officially halfway through, we're at 32. Next, 33, I read Sekulum Ursula Poznansky, which I thought would be a waste of my time, but surprisingly ends up in I enjoyed this. This is a German thriller, and it's like kind of paranormal at the beginning, where you think there's something paranormal going on, but the more you keep reading, the more you find out that it's actually just some of the other characters playing tricks on our protagonist. And I read the blurb and then the plot. I spoiled myself, which actually made the book better for me, because I don't like paranormal things, but I do like bad people. And so reading this from the perspective of, I forgot the conclusion, but I knew that someone was making all of this up, and reading this with the knowledge that someone was making all of this up and it wasn't actually paranormal, made the reading experience very, very enjoyable for me. So sometimes it's good to read a spoiler. Then we have Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne. And I feel so bad, but I have to put this in. This is a book. I feel like, I'm being so mean today, but I feel like this was a Legends and Lattes ripoff. It's just, I'm sorry to say this, but it's not written very well. The characters, their relationship is okay, but the plot is kind of non-existent, and I cannot tell you anything more about this book because I forgot. Now we have a lot more of this as a book, or maybe I should put this in alright, but I reread some of the books. That's the wrong order. I reread some of the books that I used to read as a child. This is Enid Blyton's St. Clair's series with the twins Patricia and Isabel. In German they're called Honey und Nanny, and this is part 1, 2, and 3 of the series. It was a reread. I read all of them in like an hour. I'm putting this in. This is a book just because, it was a quantity read, not a quality read, and that's okay. that's fine. Sometimes you need the quality rate to bump up your reading. Did I mention that I read 65 books this year? That's 2 less than in 2023. But I'm happy with that. My goal was 50. Then we have The Totally Normal Adventures of Odette Germain. I can't speak French anymore. By Franziska Lagerman. I read this on Wattpad ages ago, and now it's been traditionally published, so I had to buy it. This is a children's book, but I did genuinely enjoy this. So I'm putting this in. I enjoyed this. If you're capable of reading in the German language, I would definitely recommend this. Because it's fun, it's easy, and there's a lot of humor in there that even adults can find funny. It's not like too kiddie bookish. Oh, we have another favorite. We have another perfection. Alice Walker, The Color Purple. Where else could I put this but up here? This was another book club pick. I think I'm the only one who completed it, because we had a month where, except for me, everyone abandoned their books, and then we just skipped ahead to the next one, and this was the book that we skipped. So we never talked about it, but I really, really, really enjoyed it. And I still have yet to see the movie. But this book, if you haven't read it, go read it like right now. Put it on your TBR. Okay, then we have Welcome to Glorious Duga. I enjoyed this. This was an impulse buy. I saw this cover, fell in love with it, bought it, read it, loved it. Yeah. If you're looking for like a comfort summer read, this is probably a good pick. There's not like too much happening, but it never gets boring either, and so I thought it was very enjoyable. And then I think we have one of our last favorites for the year. We have A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. Again, took me like forever to get through. I think I read this from like February to August, but it was worth it. Like every one of those 860 pages was worth it. If you've never read a fantasy book and you want to read a very, very great fantasy book, make it this one, please. You might get overwhelmed by it, but make it this one. And then I had the brilliant idea of rereading something I'd read as a teenager. Night School by C.J. Dougherty. Let me just put all 5 of them on screen like right now. That's the wrong order. I don't know the exact order. I think this is part 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, I think it's right like oh no, that's wrong. I think like this, that's the right order. This is like absolutely YA. And yeah, I'm putting the first one in. This is a book just cause there was a scene where consent was not taken very seriously, to say the least. But all the other ones belong in alright, because I used to read them as a teen, and I reread them, and they were alright. And I read all 5 of these books in 3 days. So I sped through those books, and it was fun revisiting my teenage years. I don't know if I told you this, but I did write some books as a teenager, and rereading Night School made me realize how much my own writing as a teen was influenced by these books. Then we have Not for the Faint of Heart by Lex Croucher. This has made me not want to read her, I don't know what it's called, like the other book with a person on a horse on the cover. What's that one called? I don't think I want to read this anymore. is a generous choice, and I'm only doing that because I rated it 4 stars, which I now can't see why I did that, but I apparently didn't think it was so awful when I read it. I think this is just kind of forgettable, if I'm being honest. And also, it's like too forcefully lighthearted, and that got annoying at certain points. It's not bad, it's just not very good either. Okay, now I think I have some last favorites. First I have Wenn der Windmann kommt, which I'll put in I enjoyed this. I should probably put this into perfection. No, I'll put it into perfection. You know what? I'll put it into perfection. I think perfection might actually get a little crowded, but that's alright. This is a children's book that I have read so many times in my life, and I always love it. I talked about it in length in my September reading wrap-up, but basically you can read it from 2 perspectives. One is like the children, everything is magical perspective, and one is the adult perspective, and when you read it from an adult's perspective, it gets very, very sad. And so I remember as a child I thought this was a very magical story, and I gave it to my mom to read it, and she was like, why are you reading such an awfully sad book? And I truly didn't think it was that sad. But now that I'm an adult, I have seen both perspectives, and that makes the book even more beautiful to me. I think if you read this as an adult for the first time and you never see the magical side, then you might not enjoy this, but because I've kind of grown up with this book, I do enjoy it. And now another favorite. Okay, what else could it be? My Darling Dreadful Thing. This would be very, very high in my potential top 10. This introduced me to Gothic horror, which I'm now obsessed with. I have so many Gothic horror books on my TBR, and I did get like another gift card for books for Christmas, and I plan on buying lots of Gothic horror with that. So thank you, Johanna van Veen, for introducing me to probably my new favorite genre next to fantasy. Alright. And that was it with the good books. Now we have Bernhard Schlink, der Vorleser, the reader. I don't know if you know this, but you know, this is a book. It's super weird. Oh, I accidentally stacked Night School. This is super weird, like super duper weird. And I would feel bad ranking it any higher. You know, actually, I'm thinking about pulling some of those down. I think I'll pull this one down too. I enjoyed this just because it's getting a little crowded on top here. So now we have another free slot. Alright. Yeah, did I skip one? I think I skipped one. Oh my god, how could that happen? I skipped a book. Earlier this year, like way earlier, I read 6 of Crows, and I only noticed now because the book that's like in the right chronological order now is Crooked Kingdom. And both of them belong in perfection. I was very skeptical about this, but 6 of Crows and Crooked Kingdom have definitely cemented Leigh Bardugo as one of my favorite authors. And so they have earned their place up here. And I'm so sorry for skipping 6 of Crows, and I didn't even know this. Now we have, again, a lot of like, this is a books. I don't know if you know the 3 investigators, like Jupiter Jones, I think he's called. Pete Shaw, and I don't know if he's actually Bob Andrews in like America, but in Germany they're called Justus Jonas Peter Shaw and Bob Andrews, and they used to be like an American series of like teenagers investigating crimes, you know, the 3 investigators, and the series was stopped in the US but continues to this voice actors in the series, because usually the three investigators have like audio plays where every character has a different voice and then someone rewrites the book so that it's better suited for listening to. And so it's like listening to conversations of people. And then the talking skull is just the book is being read to you, but it's being read to you by a voice actor of the usual like audiobooks that they usually do. It's like a special that they're doing, that they're having like some of the voice actors come on Spotify and like read the book instead of like playing it. And this was read by Jupiter Jones' aunt, like the voice actor that plays Jupiter Jones' aunt. And that was very enjoyable, so I'm putting this in. I enjoyed this, and the other two belong in alright. I will say it was very fun to read the book that I so far had only listened to, because some of the dialogue was like the exact same and I kept reading it with like the voices in my head. Sounds crazy, but you know. And yeah, but it's a children's book. Last 10 books that we have: The Inheritance Game. I'm contemplating between I enjoyed this and alright, but I'll put it in I enjoyed this because I have more space there. I keep wanting to read the rest of the trilogy, but I just didn't get around to it yet. It's okay. It's YA. You know, sometimes you need a little YA. Then we have 12 the Night. Now I feel bad that I put The Inheritance Game so high up, because this one was definitely better. It's a fun YA romance, but again it has some emotional depth, and I can appreciate that. Then we have Felix Ever After by Case and Calendar. I got this for my birthday, and I did enjoy it. It was alright. I think I'm kind of like out of the like age group for this book, and I'm also like not the, you know, I'm not questioning my gender, and it was really nice. No, not nice is like a weird word, but it was interesting to read about. But I don't think I'm like the particularly like the group of people that this book was meant for, age-wise and identity-wise. And so for me, it was just like reading a book, but it didn't have like the same like light bulb effect that it might have for other people. Okay. Then another one that I got for my birthday, Dialogue at Dream Department Store. This is definitely a book. That's like all I can say about it. There's like almost no plot. The world building is kind of interesting, but that's about it. Okay, now we have like the biggest surprise of the year, Fourth Wing. I did not have very high expectations for this one, but surprisingly, I almost rated it 5 stars. I ended up rating it 4, and so it deserves its spot in I enjoyed this. The second part is very scary to me because it's so long, but I will definitely continue the series. Yeah, I enjoyed this. It's getting very crowded as well. But we're continuing with a book that wasted my time, and I'm so sad to say that about a book by Fredrik Backman. But Bear Town, I was not having a good time. This was a book club pick, and this was the first book club pick that I did not enjoy. I don't want to spoil what's happening, but I was not ready for the plot. I did not know that that was going to happen. And I feel cheated of the feel-good book that I expected when I opened this. I do realize that this is like kind of revolution of Fredrik Backman, because he's, you know, like branching out his usual like writing style, and that's good read, and then it turns out like this. Yeah, no, thank you. Okay, and then I'm actually gonna pull one book ahead. There's a series in Germany called The Three Investigators Kids, and it's like for a younger audience. And my parents got a freebie, The Three Investigator Kids, in our local supermarket and gave it to me. This was only 60 pages, but I still feel like I wasted my time. But that's like my own fault for reading a book that's like for age group 6 to 8. It was like such a basic criminal case, and I was like, oh my god, like I actually this, like, is that... The Three Investigator Kids is made for kids, but when you start with the regular Three Investigators as a kid, you kind of skip the phase where you think that the kid version is interesting. So even as a child, I was like, what kind of crap is this? Like, I want some real criminal cases, not your stupid someone stole my dog thing. Yeah. Okay. Then we have a reread and a new read. We have Vergiss mein nicht, Part 1, Part 2. 1, 2, and 3. Forget Me Not by Casting Gear. Part 3 just came out this year, and I had to buy it immediately. I have first editions of all 3 of those, and it's very important to me that you know that. It's Casting Gear's latest trilogy, and I enjoyed it. I think it's my favorite trilogy of hers so far, which is saying something. I'm stacking the books now, I don't care. Which is saying something, considering that I'm like no longer part of the age group. But this was genuinely a very good time. This is the first time I think that I've read a book from her written from the boy's perspective, partly. And yeah, I think she outdid herself with this one. It's like, as always, the wordspelling is a little crazy, a little over the top, but you like that about the books. And yeah. Okay, now we have the last book, which I completed, I think, on December 29th. Alexandra Benedict, The Christmas Jigsaw Murders. And this is like a close decision between alright and I enjoyed this, but I'm putting it in alright just so that I don't have to stack any more books. It's a murder mystery and it's funny, so like it's everything I look for in a murder mystery, and it's also queer. Oh no, okay, I actually feel bad. I'm gonna put this in. I enjoyed this. I don't care. This was definitely enjoyable. It doesn't deserve to be with those books. Doesn't deserve the slander. It's a murder mystery. It's funny. It takes place around Christmas time. Some people have said that the protagonist was too grumpy for their liking, and I can relate to that, but I liked her grumpiness, and so that's where we end up. Now you're seeing me on the big screen again, I think. But that was all 65 books that I read in 2024, and if I just count the books in my perfection scale, and counting series as like one book, we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 books in my perfection one. So I guess that's my top 10. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope I wasn't too mean. And now I wish you a very good night. See you in the